Morning. Happy holidays, LT. It's time for another webinar, District 204 webinar update. My name is Brian Waterman. I'm proud to serve as the superintendent here in Lyons Township High School District 204. We're only a few days away from winter break. In fact, we have final exams coming up in about a week. And so I'm excited to share some real brief updates during this month's webinar. And again, the goal here is to use a different format, hopefully more interactive format than a traditional email, to share some of the good news and reminders and information that's happening here at LT. We of course have so much happening on a daily basis, and we're always excited to share that. So as always, if you're joining live, feel free to drop a question in the chat, or if you're watching the recording of this and you have a question about something I've talked about, of course, don't ever hesitate to shoot me an email. That's at bwaterman@lths.net. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening here as we do this on Wednesday, December 13th. So first of all, right after we return from the new year, we will have our Pack for Impact event. We want to continue to follow the legacy of Dr. King and his belief that everybody can be great because everybody can serve. Last year, we held our first Pack for Impact event to help combat global hunger. We partnered with Feed My Starving Children to bring a mobile packing station to our campus on the actual Dr. King holiday in order to honor that National Day of Service. We had over 500 volunteers that packed 100,000 meals that were distributed to those experiencing hunger around the world. So this year, doing it a little bit different, but on January 20th of 2024, a lot of our LT students and staff will have the opportunity to go out to the Feed My Starving Children Center to again pack for impact. We're already planning for the return of the on-campus event next year, and that will return in 2025. And so we're asking our community to help support both of these events, both the 2024 event and already support the 2025 event. I have a QR code on the screen there that will take you to a website that gives you more information about Pack for Impact itself, but also give you the ways that you can support and hopefully donate to this great cause. So we, of course, appreciate all of our community support on this project. I also want to continue to highlight our community conversation series that we started here at LT this year. We've already had 3 so far during the first semester, and we have our 4th event happening tomorrow night. That's on Thursday, December 14th. This event is entitled Unearthing Joy, a Conversation with Dr. Gholdy Muhammad. Dr. Muhammad is the author of Cultivating Genius, which is an equity framework for culturally and historically responsive literacy. This week's session is a Zoom call, so it's convenient to join, and all of the information can be accessed by, again, clicking on the QR code on your screen. We look forward to hopefully seeing a lot of our community members on that Zoom call. Certainly, there will be some discussion opportunities as well. Dr. Muhammad is an expert in this area, and we're excited to have her on that Zoom call. I also want to continue to highlight our LT Community Advisory Council. We hosted our second LTCAC meeting of the year in November, early November, and we're going to host our next LTCAC meeting in late January when we return from winter break. The topic for that meeting, which is on January 31st, is going to focus on goal 1 of our strategic plan, which is academics. And so that QR code on your screen will take you to our LTCAC website, where you can look at slide decks, presentation materials, minutes, and feedback from all of our LTCAC meetings. But also, most importantly, you can gather more information about upcoming meetings and hopefully encourage you to sign up for those to be on the LTCAC as well. We are always looking for new members for LTCAC and would love to have as many community members as possible participate on the team. I also want to talk a little bit about, this is at the time of the year in December when most taxing bodies are talking about the tax levy. And so I want to spend just a minute or two talking about this process and how it impacts our school and our school community, and also kind of some of the steps that happen throughout this as well. In general, tax levy is really a request made by a taxing body. That taxing body could be a school district, it could be a village, a park district, a fire protection district, a lot of different governing bodies. But it's a request made for funds needed to operate that organization for the next year. So every year, that taxing body, in our case, the Lyons Township High School District 204 Board of Education, creates a tax levy and has it approved by that governing board. This usually happens in the November and the December timeframe through a series of meetings. For school districts, the levy consists of requested dollar amounts for each individual operating fund, and then also in an aggregate amount. Upon approval by the board, and again, in our case, the LT board, the levy is submitted to the Cook County Tax Extension Office, where the requested amounts are then calculated into a tax rate. In its simplest form, the tax rate is then multiplied by each individual property value, which creates an amount owed to each taxing body on the property tax bill, on the individual property tax bill. So if we go back about a month, at our November 21st regular action meeting, our Board of Education approved an estimated 2023 tax year levy. The process of adopting the levy includes really estimating the levy by the Board of Education at the November meeting, but then final approval at the December meeting. And then also at the December meeting, our board holds a public hearing prior to the adoption of the final levy in that meeting. So based upon the consumer price index increases of 5% over the 2022 tax levy, District 204 can expect about 3.8 million of additional property taxes from existing properties. Additionally, if a new property value of $50 million was added to the tax rolls, which is common, LTHS could expect to receive an additional $1 million from those properties, but that's an unknown number that we won't know till down the road. Since we don't know the value of that new property, we must estimate the amount of taxes that are attributable to that value. So based upon the above information, our total aggregate levy, including all funds, of $85,091,380 for the estimated 2023 levy is going to represent a 6.13% increase over the prior year actual extension for all the funds of about 80.1 million. That was a lot of numbers and a lot of information about meetings just in a short period of time. But I would invite anyone to click that QR code on your screen, where it will take you to a website that has much more details and information about the tax levy, how it impacts schools and school districts and governing bodies, and also just about the process that governing bodies go through to get to approval of the tax levy. Moving on, one more thing I want to highlight. It does not look like it today because the sun is shining, but it is winter, and I want to remind everyone of our procedures that are related to emergency school days, because we know that living in this area from really November through March, we never know when we're going to have days that require emergency closures or delayed start schedules or some other modification due to snow, ice, cold temperatures, and so on. So the Illinois State Board of Education has granted all schools the option of developing an e-learning plan in the event that a school building has to shift quickly into remote learning or shut down. With that said, it's become necessary for us to enact an e-learning day in the event of inclement weather. If that happens, we're going to communicate to all District 204 families through email and text messages. And I think there's a couple things that our community can do in order to make sure you're prepared for this. If your contact information has changed recently, or if you're unsure whether we have the correct contact information on file, please call either one of our main offices to make sure that your information is updated at Infinite Campus, because that's the vehicle we'll use to pull that information. If you would like to receive text message notifications about school days, about closures, and e-learning days, you can text the word START to 91201 to get enrolled. And again, this information, everything I'm saying is accessible through the QR code on your screen. You can also follow District 204 on our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We will always post school delays and closures to each of those channels. And then, of course, our website will also be updated with the latest information if we have inclement weather. If we do have a weather day and the decision has been made to close school and implement an e-learning day, teachers will engage students for 5 hours per day. They will provide an asynchronous lesson by 9 a.m. via Canvas. Asynchronous lessons really will focus on those essential outcomes and skills and demand no more than 45 minutes of student activity. Also provide some opportunities for students to process information. We'll also require that students complete an attendance survey on days that we do implement an e-learning day. And then typically if school is canceled for the day, that generally means all of our evening activities are canceled as well for that night. Certainly it's possible in unusual circumstances for evening events to occur when we've not had school, but that would be very rare and very unusual. And then just from a decision-making process, I use a variety of factors to determine whether to implement an e-learning day or to implement a traditional snow day. We look at the conditions of our campuses, including electricity, heat, and utilities. Are we able to plow our lots at both campuses and keep the driveways and the sidewalks safe? What are the transportation conditions? Is our bus company able to provide safe transportation? And what is the impact of local road conditions on that process as well? All of those things come into play when I'm making that decision. We're of course always predisposed to stay open every day and continue operations, but we also want to keep our students, our staff, and our community safe. So you never know when a winter storm is going to come up that really requires that decision. So again, all of the information that I've shared is accessible by clicking the QR code on your screen. So feel free to check that out. Those are the big updates that we had for today. I don't see any questions from anyone. Give that another second or two. And then to close, I will just say that it's a holiday season. Again, we have 8 days left in this first semester. Students will begin final exams on Wednesday, December 20th, 1 week from today. Those will continue Thursday and Friday. All of the information that our community needs around final exams really comes in a couple of ways. First of all, individual teachers have shared those end of semester experiences and the plans with each of our students, but then also Dr. Tyrell will include this in upcoming communications around the end of the semester plan as well. So we know that this can be certainly a joyous time, but also a stressful time for our students, our staff, and our community. I want to wish everyone a happy holiday season. We will return with our next webinar in mid-January. Until then, we hope we have a positive and productive end to the first semester and the happiest of holiday seasons. Thanks so much and have a great day, LT.